This movie's best asset going in was low expectations. We all knew exactly what to expect from Section 31. It's almost impressive how consistently the franchise has managed to alienate long-time fans while failing to gain new ones. A true masterclass in squandered potential. We start in the Terran Empire, a land so yellow it looks like it needs a new liver. A young Philippa Georgiou returns home after surviving 2 years of Squid Game, Mirror Universe Edition. Around the dinner table, she drops that she was one of 2 contestants left, and only one task remains to separate them. Her family barely has time to process this before they all collapse, coughing up blood, and die from the poison she's brewed, and with that, she's crowned Emperor and gives a hot sword facial to the runner-up. Brutal? Yes, but this scene actually kinda works because it gives a glimpse into the ruthless lengths Georgiou had to go to seize power, a rare moment of character insight. Unfortunately, it's buried under New Trek's obsession with shallow spectacle. Mid-scene, the camera pulls back to reveal a CGI army of troops beaming down in a brain-dead copy-paste fashion, sadly in keeping with New Trek's visual trademark. Lifeless, overcrowded set pieces that add nothing but noise. Flash forward, and Georgiou now rules a space station nightclub, drenched in dark purples, blotchy blues, and sickly yellows. It's like staring at a giant bruise. Fitting for a film whose very essence seems inspired by blunt force trauma. Funky guitar music, sudden whoosh zooms, and rewinded scenes scream quirky heist movie. Then enter Section 31, an insufferable group of bickering morons desperate to turn Star Trek into Marvel with persistent quips and forced banter, all entirely out of place in a franchise that once prided itself on intelligent dialogue and meaningful stakes. Sorry, Alex Kurtzman, but Star Trek is not Marvel and will never be. The mission? Intercept the sale of a bioweapon that Georgiou recognises as the Godsend, a device from her days as Imperial Tyrant, capable of incinerating planets in a chain reaction that spreads like a virus and would destroy the entire quadrant. This is the kind of lazy arse writing that would have gotten a Star Trek writer fired in the 90s. How does it trigger a chain reaction? What exactly reacts? How does it pass from planet to planet over the light years of space? How long does it take, given the unfathomable distances? What makes it stop only at one quadrant? If we destroy this device, what would stop another being built? This is so fucking dumb. The movie doesn't bother explaining because New Trek doesn't care. It's another lazy plot device in a long line of New Trek stupidity like the Burn, the Red Angel, Red Matter, the list goes on. Real Star Trek had rules for its tech. New Trek has whatever sounds cool to these dumb writers. At one point, Georgiou uses some kind of phasing tech to swipe the weapon mid-sail. It's a decent scene, one of the few in the movie, but it's undermined by the arrival of a masked buyer who uses the same technology to snatch it back, after an obligatory fight scene with lots of fast cuts and zero tension. The choreography, much like the movie, feels like it's just going through the motions. After coercing information from the weapons seller by picking his nose, there's a boring subplot about a mole in Section 31. Cue another lifeless fight scene that's meant to be interesting because they're on something that's moving fast. Georgiou then learns that Mr. Burns, runner-up from the opening scene, is alive and plans to use the Godsend in the Terran Empire for reasons. So they leap into pursuit, giving us more dumb moments, such as creating a bomb out of a child's toy and activating it, unsure of when it will explode, before they know how to release it from the cargo hold. Then after they defeat Mr. Burns, they let the Godsend detonate, confident it will only destroy the passageway between universes. How are they so sure? Might it not end up destroying worlds on both universes? Who cares? Certainly not the writers. The glaring flaw is the utter lack of stakes you can relate to. Star Trek at its best thrived on the weight of its moral dilemmas and the intelligence of its resolutions. Here there's nothing interesting. Everything will go boom if we don't stop person using thing. The writing is atrocious. There's no respect for Star Trek's legacy of thoughtful, intelligent storytelling. The heist is unfunny, the stakes feel hollow, and the characters are unlikable and forgettable. What's truly amazing is despite being condensed from a planned series into a single movie, it still somehow manages to feel bloated with filler. Dragging out a story that should have been tighter and more concise. Entire scenes could be cut without affecting the story. Instead of building tension or exploring themes, the movie pads its runtime with endless bickering, nonsensical plot twists, and dull action sequences. Sadly, Star Trek was murdered years ago. Now its corpse is dragged through the dirt by people who neither understand nor care about what made the franchise special. Real Star Trek inspired people to aspire to humanity's best. This inspires people to turn off the TV. It's a betrayal of everything the franchise once stood for, a hollow imitation that mistakes surface-level flash for substance. One of the defining features of real Star Trek was the commitment to grounding its speculative technology in real science. The Heisenberg compensator, for example, was a clever nod to quantum mechanics that added a layer of believability to the concept of transporters. New Trek, by contrast, treats science as an inconvenience to be ignored. The result is a series of plot devices like the Godsend, so laughably implausible that they undermine any sense of immersion. The franchise's moral core is another casualty of New Trek's misguided attempts to modernise. Real Star Trek wasn't afraid to tackle complex issues, presenting them with nuance and optimism. New Trek, on the other hand, leans on cynicism and spectacle, mistaking dark tones and convoluted plots for depth. This shift in focus is alienating to the core audience, whilst failing to attract new fans who could get the same shallow thrills elsewhere, done better. This isn't just bad Star Trek, it's bad entertainment. It fails as a heist movie, a character study, a piece of science fiction. The only thing it succeeds on is reminding Star Trek fans how much better the franchise used to be. This is soulless, devoid of creativity or passion, and an insult to the legacy of Star Trek. Section 31 isn't a different kind of Star Trek as we were told. This was a lazy, unfunny, insipid piece of trash. And worst of all, I can't even say I was disappointed, because I knew exactly what to expect.